Hi everyone, we'll be starting in a few seconds. Let's wait for some of them to come in. All right, so good morning everyone. Really wonderful for having so many of you joining us today. I believe some of you here are familiar with the European residency options, and for others, this might be the first time of you hearing of this program. I would like to also share with you that I personally find this program as one of the most attractive programs in to access Europe. This webinar will explain to you how you can use the Portugal Golden Visa pathway as an entry point or gateway for you to live, work, and also study in all of the other 27 European countries that you prefer. This means you do not need to move or live in Portugal if you do not wish to, but basically fulfill a very minimal residency of 7 days per year only. This easy residency makes it very convenient, especially for many of you who may need to remain in your home country, but still have the privilege of residency in Europe. So what's even more attractive is this program allows you to invest into real estate. As many of you also asked, for Australian migration, is it also, which is also our core service, some of you might ask, can I buy a property to qualify for a PR? For Australian migration, the answer is no, not anymore. So however, with the Portugal Golden Visa, the program today, this is how exactly it can work for you, whereby you buy a property in Portugal, visit 7 days a year, and after 5 years, you eventually will get to access to all 27 European countries. This visa also comes with a reasonable investment amount as low as 280,000 euro. So more details will be covered in this webinar. We will have a Q&A at the end of this session and welcome any questions. So before we start, I would just like to quickly go through our company and speakers for today. Global Migration Solutions, GMS, we are a licensed advisor, migration advisor. We are known to be a company that offers premier migration services. We've been around for about 16 years with a reputable success rate of 99% and helped at least 12,000 families migrate to different countries. So our presence is across Asia Pacific with 5 offices in KL, Singapore, Hong Kong, Vietnam, and also Australia. We have received multiple awards from U Global Immigration Magazine consecutively for 2018, 2019, and also 2020. This year, we are on the top 20 in the U Global Immigration Magazine, as you can see here. And here are our main programs: Australia, New Zealand, Portugal, USA, and also Canada. All right, so these are the 3 experts who will be speaking today. Firstly, Mr. Desmond Ang is Managing Director and also the founder of GMS. He is also a licensed migration advisor for Australia and New Zealand. Desmond has extensive experience in handling various migration programs in his 16 years of experience. Secondly, Ms. Antonio Vino. He is a Portugal immigration lawyer and senior partner of AVCO Legal based in Lisbon, and Antonio has been wonderfully handling the golden visa cases for our clients. He has 20 years of experience in legal work and migration advisory. He has great expertise with the Portugal immigration program, and it is very assuring to work with someone so well-versed like Antonio. And the third speaker today, we also have Jamie Goy with us today. Jamie is the MD of Intergentium Asia. Jamie's area of support and expertise is to provide suitable real estate opportunities for investors to qualify for the Golden Visa. We have been working very closely with Jamie and have always been impressed with the attractive investment solutions she is able to bring to our clients. So our agenda for today, firstly, we'll talk about Portugal itself, then we go on to benefits, the main requirements, and also we'll be covering the process and timeline, and most importantly, the investment options. So we will now begin with Antonio. However, due to the time difference, he has shared his insights on Portugal on this video. So take a look.
Hi, Desmond. Thank you for your introduction. It's always great to be part of your webinars. Hello, everyone. My name is Antonio Viñal. I represent AFCO Legal, and today I will be sharing with you some of the more distinctive features that Portugal. Hi, Desmond. Thank you for your introduction. It's always great to be part of your webinars. Hello, everyone. My name is Antonio Viñal. I represent AFCO Legal, and today I will be sharing with you some of the more distinctive features that Portugal has to offer as a country, whether you decide to invest in Portugal or call it your new home. So without further ado, I will bring up the presentation and we'll get started. Portugal is a relatively small country in terms of population. It has 10.5 million inhabitants, but it's really long, and it has a fantastic coastline, plus the marvelous islands of Madeira and Azores. Inhabitants enjoy a very long life expectancy. The climate is very mild throughout the year, and Portugal is also, I would say, the most affordable country in Western Europe. Something that tourists, visitors in general, people who relocate are extremely fond of is that English is widely spoken, so you can get around very easily. Again, whether you stay for a couple of days or whether you decide to stay for a long period of time, you won't have any trouble communicating. In the big cities, it is quite easy to come across people that will speak English. And even in the smaller towns, you will also, because Portugal is a very touristic country, you will also find people that can help. One of the great things about Portugal, one of the many great things about Portugal, is how peaceful and safe it is as a country. It has ranked number 3 in the Global Peace Index, and people who live in countries which are not so safe, such as Brazil, marvel when they come to Portugal and how they can stroll at night without any accompaniment and not feel threatened in any way. So definitely one of the things that anyone looking for a new place to invest in or a place to relocate to should check in their checklist. Also, from an economic and financial point of view, Portugal has many things to commend, and the growth in foreign investment over the past years is certainly one of them. The testament that we see on screen right now, China Three Gorges buying the stake of 2.7 billion euros in Portugal's main electrical company, is a classic example. But here you can also see a large number of companies, multinationals, all of them extremely well known, that have decided to move to Portugal and set up some kind of center, industry, factory that will help them with their business in this part of the world. Something that comes also at the top of the list of many people when they look for a second residence is healthcare. And in fact, Portugal is a great spot for medical tourism. Education also comes to the top of people's minds, especially those who have children and are looking to give them their best possible education. In this sense, Portugal also has a lot to offer at higher education levels, universities, as well as business schools. Today, we will be discussing Portugal as a country that offers residency through investment. And in fact, many magazines, well-known institutions have commended Portugal's residency program for its efficiency, affordability, and flexibility. But also, Portugal has been ranked as the best country to retire. And this has to do not only with some of the features we've seen, safety, mild climate, affordability, but also from a tax perspective. Portugal has a tax program which enables new tax residents, pensioners, to just pay 10% on their pensions. So definitely something to look into. In terms of investment, Lisbon pops up regularly as one of the best cities, if not the best city, to invest in terms of real estate. Not for nothing has it ranked #1 in PwC's reports in 2018 and 19. So why Lisbon? Of course, prime residential property is still doing very well, even in the midst of the pandemic. And prices do reflect that. So people consider that investing in Portugal is still an excellent option. And that's all for me right now. Thank you very much. And I will pass the baton back to Desmond. Thanks.
Hi, good morning, everyone. My name is Desmond. After hearing from Antonio on the introduction of Portugal, now I'm going to walk you through the Portugal Golden Visa program in more detail. First of all, this program was being introduced in 2012 by the Portuguese government to allow non-EU citizens to acquire a residency in Portugal through an investment. So this is a very straightforward program that was being introduced. And today, this program has become one of the most popular programs. In fact, the most popular programs among all the Golden Visa programs within Europe. Now, very quickly, let's look at the program's requirement. In order for you to apply for these programs, first of all, you as a principal applicant must be above 18 years old. And it comes with a background checks. You must not have a criminal records. And one unique character about these programs is the health clearance is not required. That says these programs has allowed or enabled a lot of the families who has not been able to acquire their residency from some of the migration destination, some of the countries, and Portugal's welcome you. Now, this is an investment for residency programs, and there's a minimum required investment that you would need to move into Portugal and invest into one of the acceptable investments. After you have acquired the residency, these programs require you to spend a minimum of 7 days per year over the 5 years. So if you are not ready to move over to Portugal for the near future, or for, if you're looking at residency with the very minimum a migration program with very minimum residency, and this is one of the programs that will suit you. Now, and you're required to maintain the investment just over a period of 5 years. So let's look at who can be included in the application. So we have husband and the wife can be included in the application. We also have a dependent parents, and that includes parents-in-law who is above 65 years old. And the dependent child can also be included in this application as compared to many other countries. Some countries might have the dependency child with the age as low as 18 years old, like UK, Tier 1, Tier 2. Australia has an age of dependency up to 23 years old, and United States has an age of dependency until 21 years old, whereas Portugal Golden Visa do allow you to include your children as long as they remain as a students. The process, let's look next. I'm going to walk you through what will you be going through the entire processing of the application. First of all, we are going to set up the initial consultation, make sure that you meet the requirements, and this is the right pathway for you and your family members. So we are not looking at, during the initial consultation, we are not looking at just the Golden Visa, the criteria itself. We will also be sharing with you through our partners the various investment options. So you will have an idea from the beginning on what you will be going through, on not only the visa application, but what are the options available for you in terms of the investment. So once you have made a decision once you have decided that this is the right pathway for you, when we will be moving on to collect the documents, arrange the power of the attorney, and arrange all the documentations to be translated into Portuguese. And then we will carry on to help you to open up the tax file as well as the bank accounts in Portugal. At this stage, you're not required to travel to Portugal. We are able to do that without your presence in Portugal. And then when the bank account is open, then you do have times to move your fund over to Portugal, and the funds is going to be sitting directly in your bank accounts without having to park your money in the escrow account or with any third party. So you have the full controls of your funds. At this stage, that is the times when you are also going to be making a decision on what you are going to be investing into. Yeah. Now, most of I would say probably 80 to 90% of our clients or the overall migrants or applicants for these programs will invest into the property. As Asian, we always feel comfortable and like to have a direct investment that is being, that comes under your name directly. So property is one, no doubt, is the first choice. So we will carry on to help you to do the property registration, the deed registrations. Now, after that, we are going to move on to file your visa application. So this GV application generally takes around 3 months to 4 months. It used to be faster. It used to be 6 weeks to 8 weeks. But due to the popularity of these programs and the surge of the number of the application, and now it is taking slightly longer, up to 4 months to get a pre-approval. So basically the idea of the pre-approval is to get you over to Portugal, at least 1 trip to do a biometrics. And how long do you have at the stage 7? So basically you do have 6 months to do that. So some of you might be asking, how does it, what is the arrangement at this point of time during the border control? So the answer is, at this junction, though you get your pre-approval and the border is still under control for non-golden visa holder, PR or citizens, so you would not be able to make a trip to Portugal yet for biometrics. But nonetheless, this 6 months is extended until the border is opened up. So this is, there's no hurry or no risk of you being there or risking your application. The fact that, the borders is still under control. Next. So once you have made your first trip to Portugal, get the biometrics done, then you will be getting the Portugal Golden Visa. So this Golden Visa comes like an ID card. Yeah. So that means it is a sticker-free system. There won't be any sticker or the visa placed on your passport. So you basically generally are traveling using, the Golden Visa cards to Portugal and within Europe. So the card is issued to you for 2 years, subjected to a renewable for the third and the fourth year, and subjected to another round of renewable for the fifth and the sixth years. So the idea or the requirements of the renewal is based upon 14 days that you spend every 2 years or 7 days per year. So if you choose to make a trip for 14 years, then you could literally make one trip every 2 years. And at the end of the 5 years, you could then choose to become either a permanent resident or a citizen. So this is a 5 years programs. Now let's look into the benefits of this golden visa. So first of all, with the Portugal golden visa, the card, you could travel without any restrictions. So that says with or without the borders control, those who has a golden visa card holder is still allowed to enter the countries. Not only the Portugal, with the cards, you are allowed to move freely within Schengen area as well. So during the first 5 years, your children is entitled to enjoy the education benefits. So basically, if you're going to primary schools, secondary schools, they do get the same benefits just as a local citizens. Yeah. If they're going to the university, they need to be a usual resident for 2 years before they enjoy the university in Portugal. Immediately, once the card is issued, you do have to access to the healthcare system. Yeah. And it comes, this golden visa, importantly, it comes with an options to become a citizen. Now, this citizenship, in fact, is the most important end game to most of the migrants or to most of the applicants. Why is it so? Because the moment you become a citizen of Portugal or holding a Portugal passport, you do have the options to not just living in Portugal, but you do have an options and your family do live, work, and study that options within 27 countries in the Schengen area. So we'll look into these countries shortly. Now, this is just a quick summary on the transitional periods. For the first 5 years, during the golden residency status, you and your family member could choose to live, work, and study within Portugal. Yeah, and you're required to maintain your investment. And then you are going to spend a minimum of 7 days per year. After the 5 years, you could choose to move on to become a permanent resident, or you could choose on to immediately become a citizen. Yeah. What is the differences between the two? If you're looking at an options to be able to live within 27 countries, like I just mentioned earlier, so the citizenship is always the end game. Yeah. Now, these are the 27 countries that covers within the Schengen area. Importantly, popular countries like Ireland, countries like Germany, and many other countries are within that Schengen area. Now, I would like to touch a little bit, on the study options, because that is probably, majority of the reasons why my clients choose to go ahead with these programs, which open up the options for the children to be able to study within these 27 countries. And here I've listed out, the top 10 countries, the popular one for overseas students when they choose to study in the Schengen area. Let's have a look at, the respective country and what are the programs that is popular within the countries. First of all, Portugal. Portugal is very famous with the IT programs as well as the nursing programs. So these are the options, that clients or the children always choose and considered. We are talking about also Germany. So in Germany, engineering, everybody knows engineering programs is very popular in Germany. So if your children are looking at medicines, yeah, and Ireland, is where you would be considering. Italy, arts and design, business study. France, is famous for the management study. Music, that covers in Austria. So Netherlands, all the social science, arts, in Spain and Czech Republic, arts and social science. So if you're looking at these countries, that has given you your children a lot of the options a lot of the opportunity, not only during the study, but subsequently after they finish the study, they are allowed to be able to work, literally any of the countries within that, within the list. Now, next, let's look at the investment option. First, the real estates. So there are three options. You have 280,000, you have 350,000, you have 500,000, and we have our, partners to advise you what would be the suitable options. So as a general, the 500,000 options would allow you to invest into any forms of the property. It could be residential property, it could be commercial property, it could be car park, it could be any types of the property in Portugal. But you also have the options of 350. 350,000, in fact, is the popular one, but the good options doesn't come easily. Because under this 350,000, not only you're looking at a great potential on the capital appreciation, but also, with is still, under this 350,000, you are allowed to also choose, or invest into places like Portugal and Lisbon. So these are the central location and that people would go for. And under this category, the property has to be a property that has not been renovated for 30 years. So today, again, we'll be sharing with you one of the very signature projects on these 350,000 options. And if you are considering places that is slightly out from the city center, then you get 20% discounts. And here, you could choose to invest into a programs with as low as 280,000. So our partners has so many projects that covers all the options that is within that three compliant investment. So you could also consider venture capital funds, but I would have to say that this is not a popular options among our clients. They would rather choose or invest into a property where you get rental incomes as well as the capital appreciation. Likewise, the third options, investing into, leaving your money with 1 million euro in the bank over the 5 years, probably is the last options that people would consider. And you do also have an options of setting up a business and employing 10 staff. Yeah. So these are, the 4 different types of options that would be considered for the Portugal Golden Visa. So that comes to, my, at the end of my sharing. And I would like to invite our preferred partner, Jamie from Intergentum Asia. Now, just a quick introduction about Intergentum Asia and Jamie. They are not a real estate agency per se, but they are rather, an investment advisor that helps looking after our clients' entire managed investment options. For example, if you're investing into the property, they would look at your respective needs, identify your needs. They will help with the acquisition, and they will help with the management. To the certain extent, they will help with also the renovation when necessarily. So they provide one-stop solutions to allow you to invest with all the support, after the acquisition of the property. Yeah, Jamie, please, over to you, please.
Thank you, Desmond, for the introduction. Yes, so as a Golden Visa holder myself, and also having invested, one of the reasons also why we extended this sort of services is because we believe, as a foreign investor, and even for myself when I decided to actually invest in Portugal, it was necessary for the investment to be also be taken care of and so on. So that's actually the extra services that we extend for the properties that are transacted through our portfolio. So I'm going to move ahead with the, so these are just some of the properties that we represent. And we have actually sold many types of property. But in general, I would say that about 90% of our clients actually end up investing into properties in the main historical area. The reason is, and in the main historical area in Lisbon or Porto itself, tend to actually not be more than 4 or 5 stories high. But in general, the flavor for our investors seem to be in these areas because it actually will be used for the purpose of Airbnb or touristic activities. And sometimes also we also have requests for something that is a little bit out further from the city if they do want to stay for their own stay. So before I actually start on sharing the project that we are launching this week, I also wanted to touch on in terms of who are the buyers of the respective properties and real estate in Portugal. I think it's important to address that actually the golden visa holders actually represent a very a minute a community of people who are actually investing into properties in Portugal. In general, actually, even within the Portuguese itself, they tend to actually invest quite a fair bit in properties. But in addition to that, a lot of the Europeans, because Europeans are not allowed to actually do the Portuguese golden visa. And so what most of them actually do is they embark on a program called the non-habitual residency. So whereby a lot of these people from all over Europe, especially like the Scandinavian countries, or even France itself, what they actually, where they pay actually very high taxes. A lot of them actually move to Portugal because there's a lower tax incentive, and it could bring down their taxes from 60% all the way down to even like a 0% in some cases. So because of that as well, our properties are also doing extremely well, as you can see from the chart. We've also got a lot of famous celebrities who recently made Portugal very famous, who have actually decided to actually immigrate and actually reside in Portugal. So because of this also, one of the challenges that we also have is also once we launch a project, the properties actually do not stay for very long. And it's always like a stock market. In fact, we are extremely also happy to announce that the recent report actually came up to say that despite the pandemic, property prices have actually increased by 8% on average across Portugal for last year. So this is actually extremely good news for foreign investors. So without further ado, I would like to actually introduce to you one of our very pride projects that we are the exclusive partners of. And it's called Auric Door. Auric Door is actually located in an area that is very close to it's in the main historical area, but it's also very close to the so-called Champs-Élysées of Lisbon. And it's actually in one of the locations called Campo Ric, which was actually one of the locations that I even looked into investing. And we are very excited because we've managed to structure with the developer, who is also the contractor of many rehabilitation projects. And we are very excited because they are very experienced. They are specialists in rehabilitation projects. And I think this slide actually mostly says it all in terms of the number of buildings that Paviana itself have actually done over the years. So I wanted to share a little bit more details about Lisbon. And Lisbon is actually runs by the river Tagus itself, and actually opens up to the Atlantic Ocean itself. And Lisbon, being the capital of Portugal, is still, I would say, one of the top investment areas in Portugal. And in general, Lisbon stretches. The most popular investment options, as you can see, are all the colored locations which are marked in this particular map as provided by the JL report. And it actually starts from this place called Park Nasos itself that goes all the way to Belém, where they are well known for their egg tarts. So this area itself represents the majority of the investments of where people are buying the properties. But in general, I would say that most of the transactions actually happen within this area itself. closer look into the map of Lisbon, you'll be able to see that this is actually located in this area called Campo Ric, which is one of the traditional neighborhoods in Lisbon itself. And it's really surrounded by a lot of beautiful museums, and is also very close to the April 25th Bridge, which is one of very significant areas as well in Lisbon. As I mentioned earlier on, what I really like about this project is not because it's only just a traditional neighborhood, which also appeals to a lot of the locals. A lot of the tourists are also very attracted to this area because Lisbon is actually surrounded by 7 hills. And in these 7 hills itself, Campo Ric itself are actually located in a very flat land. So people actually like living in this area because it's actually relatively flat, and it's more convenient if you like to walk and so on. And in addition to that, it is also very closely located to Marquise Pombal, which is basically what we call the Arc de Triomphe in equivalent in Paris and in Portugal. And also the Avenida Liberdade is where it holds it's the Champs-Élysées of Portugal and Lisbon itself. So all the brands and majority brands are actually here. Along the Champs-Élysées in this area itself, where it was demarcated in the red zone, which I showed you earlier on in the map, is also we call it the Avenida Liberdade area. Prices of properties have actually gone up to even up to like 12,000 per square meters, and it's now the most expensive area to actually be investing in Lisbon. So what we like about this project is the proximity to the project, which also shows the potential of the property to actually increase. The other thing that's also nice about the property that is not only the fact that it's located in the historical area of Lisbon, it is also located to a close shopping center and office towers, which is called the Amoreiras shopping center, which is actually it's very convenient, and a lot of the locals actually work in this particular shopping center and the office towers as well. As you can see in this particular slide, you can also see that a lot of major companies such as Accenture and BNP Paribas and everything actually have their offices, and McKinsey's, a lot of consulting firms actually have their main offices in Amoreiras, which only goes to show how important and how good this particular office towers are, which is only like walking distance. The other thing that is also, I would say, significant. Sorry, Desmond, are you able to put the slide up for me, please? Yeah. The earlier slide, sorry.
Sorry.
The earlier slide,
earlier
can you,
slide.
yeah, it ran. Yeah.
Is this what you need?
And the earlier part, sorry. One more up.
Sorry.
Thank you. Earlier slide, as in before, not after, before. Yes, thank you. Yes. So the other thing important to note about this particular property is also the fact that it's also very closely located to this particular street, which is actually the division of the historical area and the newer areas in Lisbon. So that's why you can see that the expensive hotels like Four Seasons and Intercontinental and Auto Epic Sana, these are the 5-star hotels. And most of these 5-star hotels are actually located by the division of this particular street, because it's the historical area, it was necessary to maintain the facade, and the buildings cannot go any higher than the 4 stories. So what happens is that's why this particular property is also very unique, because it's at the fringe of the historical area, and it's also close by to a lot of the 5-star hotels. So this also shows that there's a lot of demand for people to be renting Airbnb facilities. One of the very important factors when one actually may decide on investment is actually the proximity to the stations. Although in the main historical area in Lisbon, you actually have a tram that is only a few minutes walk away from this particular property and goes around the entire of the main historical area of Lisbon. The other option that you can also have is actually the metro station, which is actually a few minutes walk from the Rato station, which is also planning to have an expansion of connectivity. So the municipal has also been putting some changes in the network of metro stations, which will then actually make it very connected to the entire area. The other thing to note also is what's really popular and I love about Portugal is the fact they are also very much into food like the Malaysians. And in fact, one of the major areas in Lisbon, which also appreciated, which is also where my house is also located, is also, it's called a timeout market, where the best of Portuguese food actually comes together. And in Campo Rico as well, they have a similar concept of this particular food market and food court, which is only walking distance away. There are plenty of restaurants and pubs. In fact, Campo Rico has also gone through a lot of gentrification because of these proximity and also because restaurants are more expensive now and people can't afford to rent in the Avenida Liberdade locations. It has actually extended to the Campo Rico area, and it's now one of the trendiest and hip places for young professionals to also be living in and surrounded by a lot of nice restaurants. And if you want to live there as well, there are also quite a few good schools and international schools within the vicinity. This is also another perspective to show you the property before the rehabilitation, and to show you there's a park behind and the Amararash Tower, which is the one that I mentioned to you earlier on, where Essentia and some of the major offices are located. So the beauty about this project as well is that you get a clearance. There is no blockage behind the view. And then on the side of the building as well is also the main street of Campo Rico, which is called Rua Ferreira Borges, which is actually one of the beautiful streets with beautiful greeneries and so on. So you actually get really beautiful views in midst of the historical area of Lisbon, which is also very rare, and that's why we are very excited about the program. So one of the reasons why this particular project also qualifies under the 350,000 rehabilitation scheme, which is very rare, by the way, because you will need to show significant improvement with the special works in the place to qualify under this particular category. So as I showed you earlier on, it was actually a rehabilitated building, and this is actually this is actually the view after the project. So it is very rare to also get a rehabilitation a project that is also surrounded by so much greenery in the heart of the historical area, and also hosts a significant number of units of 36 units. So this is just some of the impressions of the furnishing of that one can actually get. And now, without further ado, I will show the video of the property. last but not least, so we are really excited to also announce that the property, in addition of being qualifiable under the 350,000 category, this particular project will actually host studios and T1 apartments that will actually start from 350,000 euros onwards. And what's even better is that it's actually exactly under the average price point. So this is actually, again, a report that actually shows the area and also the pricing of old and new properties within the Kampuri and Emerald area. In fact, I would say that recently we have also sold a project which was even within the area, which is even priced much higher than this project, and it was also sold out within 3 weeks from the launching, because that particular project was only about 10 units. So we are very excited that this project actually came on a very competitive price point, and it was also much lower than the previous project. And not only that, it has the beautiful greeneries, and on top of that, because it's also the launch week, the developer has actually also agreed to be giving a free furniture pack for the first few clients of the project. And this furniture pack is actually worth close to almost about 20,000 euros. And then because it's also under the rehabilitation, and before the construction starts, for clients who already have the funds availability, they will also enjoy a possibility of actually obtaining a transfer tax and a rebate. So that is something that we could actually discuss on a private one-on-one Zoom. But we just wanted to also share that since we've launched it, more than half of the allocations have already been taken up with the free furnishing. And also the other thing is we've also made arrangements for the property for it to be Airbnb qualifiable as well. So clients can actually have a hands-free investment with this particular project, and at the same time save about 20,000 euros on their finishing pack, and also close to another 20,000 euros on their transfer tax rebate. So we really think that this is a golden opportunity for those who are ready. And please do not hesitate to actually contact the Global Migrations team to set your appointment. I'll be more than happy to address your investment needs. Thank you.
Thanks, Jamie. So I'm sure that, this is not one and the only one, In fact, there are other options and many other options that you could explore together with Jamie and together with Global Migration as well. So let's see if there's any question from the floor. Hazel.
Yes. Yeah. Thank you so much, Desmond and Jamie, for that session, and also Antonio for sharing his insights via that video. So we have quite a number of questions today. Starting off with the question, I think for Desmond. First one, does Portugal allow dual citizenship?
Yes, the answer is yes.
All right, that's good. And secondly, do we need to make an investment prior to the submission, Desmond?
Yes, so this is an investment for residency visa. If you remember the steps that I went through earlier, so it comes with tax file opening, bank's accounts opening for you to wire your funds over. Then you have to move on to make a decision on what you're going to be invested. But be very careful. What we are here to make sure is that you are investing into a right and acceptable investment for golden visa purposes. So we are playing the role to make sure that you are getting into the right investment that complies with the immigration's requirement, and then only you're allowed to lodge the application.
All right, thank you so much. On the next question, how does this project qualify under the 350K? Jamie, maybe you'll be able to answer this, yeah.
Thank you. So I wanted to also share that similarly, I've also invested into a 350,000 option. So that's why I'm also very familiar with the criteria for the 350,000 category. So when I was actually searching, honestly, when I was in Portugal a few years ago, I was trying to search for an old property, and I was trying to look at the option. Maybe we can just do some renovation and then we can qualify under the 350,000 category. But what we realized was it wasn't as simple as just buying an old property, putting a paint or changing or doing some simple renovations into the project. It actually required one to actually be located in the urban rehabilitation area. So there are also some areas which are actually out of the urban rehabilitation area, which also will then disqualify one from being under the 350,000 category. So I wanted to reiterate that actually the qualifying factor to qualify a property. So in general, any form of property, whether it's old or new, whether it's a car park, a vineyard, a piece of land, a warehouse, an office, a shop lot, any form of property will actually qualify under anywhere in Portugal will have to be under the 500,000 minimum threshold investment category. Now, if that particular property is located in the urban rehabilitation area, which we were already designated with our legal partners to confirm, and at the same time, it's substantiated with a special license and also works and also agreements that will showcase the significant improvement to that particular property, then only that particular property is qualifiable under the 350,000 category. So because of that, what we actually have done is actually work together with certain developers who have this kind of expertise, such as Paviana itself, to come out with a turnkey product. So what you see actually in the picture is actually what you will get at the end of the result. It's just the way we structure the entire deal to make it qualifiable under the 350,000 category. It is something that I would say that our firm is extremely proud of being able to do with our team itself. And I would say that we are probably one of the very few specialists who are very, very familiar with this 350,000 euro investment options.
All right, thank you for that. And Jamie, what is the difference between the 500,000 and 350,000?
Yeah, I think I just explained earlier on in terms of the 500,000 and 350,000. It's one is the urban rehabilitation and the other one is just any form of property. Yeah.
All right. Okay, moving on to the next one. Do we need to be present in Portugal to submit the application, Desmond?
No. So during the application, we are able to handle the entire process for you. The only times you need to visit Portugal is after you have gained a pre-approval. So you have 6 months to do that, to decide when you wanted to go over. So you need to be there for a minimum, I would say probably, at least 3 days for us to first, walk you through the city, then bring you to the bank, bring you to the immigrations department, and then you are allowed to move back, to leave the country's trip on your 3rd day.
All
so
right.
yeah, so that would be the minimum days to spend.
Okay, that
So
sounds
it doesn't, and just to reiterate, the whole entire process from the times when you start, you make the decisions to pursue with this pathway, and it takes around probably about 2 months to get the tax file open, bank accounts open, then subsequently we move your fund over. So it takes another 1 month or so to get all the paperwork done on the property, conveyancing work, deed registration. Then we file the visa application plus another about 3 to 4 months. So you can basically get the pre-approval in around 7 to 8 months time. Then you have another 6 months to decide when to go over.
all right. Okay, thank you for that. On the next question, what are the legislation changes and how will this affect investment timing? Jamie?
Yeah, okay, thank you. So recently, actually, the government has actually announced that the investments in Lisbon and Porto and the coast of Portugal will no longer be eligible for the golden visa applications from January 2022 onwards. So as after consulting our team, of legal and also consulting various teams, we have actually would like to suggest for clients who are really keen on investing in Lisbon and Porto or the coast projects to really consider making their decisions very soon, because also due to the pandemic, it now takes up to almost 2 months actually for some of the bank accounts to be opened. So by then we will be looking at an investment already in July and August. And based on that itself, it will still take a few months for the applications to be approved via online. So we would like to urge the clients to actually more or less to start looking at the investments. Right now is the right time to look at it, and probably to make a decision within the next month or two will be ideal. And for those who can't make a decision yet, it will also be ideal for them to start the process of the tax file and bank account opening, so that the game and the aim is to try to make the investments and by end of July or latest by end of August, so that they could submit it and get an online approval before the end of December.
All right. Okay, I have a question here. What are the yearly taxes and monthly maintenance costs for the property? And are they freehold or leasehold property?
Okay. Firstly, what I like about Portugal is that all the properties in Portugal are actually freehold. So, which is actually one of the major factors why people like to invest in Portugal. Number two, when you first purchase a property, the only tax that you need to pay is actually the transfer tax and the stamp duty. The transfer tax will then be on the sliding scale up to about 7.5% actually, depending on the prices of the property. But on average, I would say a property like what I showcased earlier on will be in a range of 6.5% for the transfer tax. And then be a stamp duty of 0.8% on the flat scale. However, this is actually only borne by the buyer. So this is a tax that is only incurred during when you buy the property. And when you do sell it, there is no taxes that is imposed for the seller, but for the future buyer. In terms of the yearly taxes, the only tax that one were to pay is like a similar tax to our assessment or DBKL tax. And that particular tax will actually be about 0.3% and based on the municipal value. So just to give you another example, so I pay actually on average about a few hundred euros for my property also, which was actually bought at about 400,000 euros. So actually I pay a few hundred euros basically for the yearly maintenance. Yeah. So basically that will cover more or less the taxes that are associated with the property.
All right. Okay, on to the next one. With the travel ban, how can they still apply?
Okay, I will answer. So there's no restrictions to apply or to submit the application with the travel ban. The only policy that we have to observe is when would the borders open up for the initial landing or for the biometrics. So the 6 months window that we talked about earlier currently is extended until the borders is opened. So that gives everyone plenty of times to plan for the trips when they are being required to do so.
Okay. And on the next one, also regarding tax, is Portugal a global tax? Jamie?
Okay, so in terms of the taxation, one of the reasons why also Portugal is very popular is the fairly low tax schemes. So for golden visa holders, because especially for those who are not intending to live there, if you actually live for less than 183 days a year, then you're considered a non-tax resident. As a non-tax resident, there will be no global tax, there will be no inheritance tax, and there will be no wealth tax as well.
Okay, thank you for that. Okay, on to the next one. Are there any restrictions for foreigners buying or selling the property?
So again, what I love about the program is the fact that there are also no restrictions to be selling. In fact, what we would like to advise clients right now, because a lot of them are saying that that you know, oh, I can't fly there, you know, I can't see the property. So what we do is that's where we actually come in. We go through a whole portfolio. We explain to them the whole dynamics of how Portugal works, how Lisbon works, how the different cities work, how the areas, the pockets, where are the areas of investment, and so on, because and help them make a calculated decision in that sense. Because the beauty about the program is that actually you can sell to anyone. You can sell to any foreigners, you can sell to any locals. There are actually no restrictions to sell to anyone. And during the process of the Portuguese Golden Visa as well, as long as you want to continue to renew your Portuguese Golden Visa, as long as you can also sell your initial investment that you used it to enter the program, but anytime during the 5 years, you can actually sell it and actually acquire another property. Let's say when you go there and spend your 7 days or 10 days or whatever, 14 days, you can actually swap properties and sell it to anyone. So that's the other very attractive part of the Portuguese Golden Visa program, is the flexibility of having being able to sell it to anyone at any time in that sense. Yeah.
Okay. I think the last question probably, do we need to wait for the project to complete before we apply for the golden visa?
Yeah.
Yeah. So in this particular project, how it's being structured is in general, actually, you do not need for a project to be completed. In fact, because this project actually qualifies under the 350,000 category, it's even more so important that the project cannot be completed, because any completed project or any project that is close to completion will no longer be qualifiable under the 350,000 scheme, because one of the criteria for it to fall under the 350,000 scheme, it has not been renovated in the last 30 years and has to go through a significant improvement. So, in order to qualify, it can't be completed in that sense. So, on average, this particular project, just to share with you, will be completed in 2023 in Q2. That is actually the estimated time. However, it has been structured that it doesn't need to be completed, and the process for an application of the Golden Visa can already start from the moment that you have already acquired the unit. And we will go through actually a transfer of title, whereby you will actually be the owner of that particular unit even before it is completed. So because of that, there is no need to wait for the particular project to be completed, and even more so for it, because we want it to be under 350, it cannot be completed in that sense. Yeah, thank you.
Okay, just want to conclude one more last question. Is the flat easy to rent out for long lease, and what is the expected yield? What does the real estate agent charge?
Okay. In general, this particular project, you have two options. Because it's also located in the close to the touristic activities, one can actually expect to earn on average between 7 to 10% for Airbnb or touristic activities. Either that, or you can also look at a long-term lease, which you can estimate between 4 to 5%. Now, a lot of people will actually look at the options of investing into Airbnb option instead, because the income tax, actually the personal income tax for a long-term lease is actually 28%, whereas the income tax for a short-term lease is actually 12.5%. So because of that, it becomes favorable. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay,
And sorry, and the real estate fees will actually depend on how long the terms, but it ranges from one. It's very similar to the Malaysian real estate charges. Yeah.
Okay, thank you so much, Jamie. I think, thank you, everyone. This is the only time we have for today. It's about an hour already we've run the program. So just to conclude, once again, if you have any further questions, if we're not able to answer your question today, please reach out to us via the call or WhatsApp number on your screen, or you can even email us, or even set an appointment with Desmond or Jamie. They'll be able to answer further questions from your end. So is there any other information that you need to add on, Desmond and Jamie? Otherwise, we will end the session.
Sure. So we will continue to answer those questions that we have not been able to answer, or separately we will go back to them. And then, we look forward to speak to all of you individually. And thank you, everyone, and have a good weekend.
Thank you.
Thank you. See you, everyone. Bye.
Bye.